Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of videos today. The first one is actually, I'm going to break it into two parts. It's a video request by INSQ Alice. So thanks so much for your video request. But I feel there's a couple that are examples that might be worthy of discussing in separate videos. So the first one, regarding manipulation and betrayal, I want to start by mentioning, I'd love to hear, this is something that's going to be very poignant, I think, for a lot of viewers, so it will be something I'd love to hear comments on and personal experiences, potentially from others that have dealt with that, because coming into this topic, one thing I found is in my videos that spoke to narcissism and those types of tendencies, there tended to be quite a lot of us that seem to have gone through similar facets and experiences in their life. And I think it's a tough topic, but it's something that, if it is something that is going across the board for a lot of us, it's pretty relevant. So this topic will be about primary person. So I'm going to talk in a little bit more generalities, only because the point of this is not to sit and make a demonstration about a certain individual. It's more to talk about the experience itself. So in this particular situation with manipulation and betrayal, the person that I am speaking about is a primary person in my life, and the manipulation stems from a lifetime of narcissistic tendencies. And the problem with narcissism, I feel, is that they either refuse to get help or they don't even realize they have narcissistic tendencies, because again, it's all about them and it's all about how they're doing, and they never do anything to anyone, because whatever they're doing to someone is coming from whatever was done to them. It always has to go back to the person. And so while this is not a topic on narcissism, manipulation is very much tied to the narcissistic tendencies, sorry about that, that pop up in a measure of control. So in this particular situation, I was going through something very personal and difficult for myself, and someone had really betrayed me in a way that, if I was an individual speaking to someone who had gone through that experience, I would want to, hold their hand and listen to them and be empathetic. And in a case of manipulation, in this situation, I ended up sharing with this individual who I knew I wasn't supposed to trust, but because of the primary relationship that is there, it kind of came out on default. Because with manipulation, manipulative people know how to press what buttons need to be pressed in order to open up a vulnerable individual. And in this particular case, that absolutely happened. And I shared this difficulty that I was going through regarding this part of my life. And this individual continued to coax out information and act like a supportive ear and act like they were not on my side so much as just being there for me. I didn't need someone on my side. I just wanted to have an ear because I was going through a lot of stuff, and as INTJs, we usually try and bottle everything in and compartmentalize. However, when it is really difficult, we are not able to do so. We have to put it out to somebody. So with this particular situation, I left that conversation and just forgot about it, because for myself, if someone spoke to me and brought up information that was highly personal to them, I would literally forget about it until they are ready or they want to talk about it again, because it's not my story to tell. It is not my story to put judgment on. It is not my story to mull over. It is simply what it was, where that, in my experience, where someone, if they're wanting to come to me and they're being vulnerable, then it is my duty and honor to listen to that information and take it for exactly what it is, and not assign any sort of moral judgment on it. And so the manipulative side was that they coerced information out. And I don't usually like putting fault on someone else, because we choose to do everything. And I could have stopped and not continued talking. But again, if it's a primary relationship, chances are there's already those nuances that are in place that make these types of conversations come out. So what the betrayal side was, that was quite amazing, was after a couple of days, I'm still dealing with the issue at hand, but and I didn't necessarily feel supported by that person that I had just shared with, but it was more like I needed to blow off the conversation and, get my thoughts out, other than just in a journal. And what I was presented with was, while I was randomly shopping for groceries, I had an email message that popped up, and I looked at it, and the beginning was about how they are there for me and they're so caring for me, and they want the best for me. Within one paragraph, this email goes from this pseudo care into a 10-paragraph monologue about how I am the worst person, even though something very egregious happened to me in my life. And so in my situation, someone stole a lot of money from me. And instead, this person went and absolutely turned on me and told me how basically I deserved it. I should do it. It's only money. It's not that person is a good person. You're not the good person. The other person is a good person. And what I felt was absolute betrayal. And what I noticed too is, again, I've said it before, where there's like a white heat or like a sound in your ears when you're trying to process things, because something this traumatic takes a long time to ingest. You can't just, for INTJs, I feel, we don't just easily come to anger. We are shocked when something comes up. And so I think the manipulation side of things and the betrayal side of things both tie to that feeling of shock. We are usually so careful and prepared for everything, and we mitigate everything in our heads. So when someone goes and does something so egregious that it is outside your scope of what you have been preparing for, you're stunned. Human decency, literally, like the disconnect between what the basis of relationships are and what is being experienced is, when it's so off the charts wrong, we're stunned. And I have to argue, we wonder why INTJs have this, tendency towards being a certain way, closed, cut off, all these stereotypes that we put forward. But really, is there something that is so odd with that, when I feel that we see a lot of us being in a position to have some very negative experiences. And I am not saying that only INTJs have negative experiences on any level, but we have to remember that we don't have the most equipped emotional range when we're dealing with these things. So we're not able to just shake things off and move forward or get mad and go from there. So I think that the brunt of manipulation and betrayal actually hits us so much harder because we can't process it in a timely fashion or in an appropriate fashion, and it changes how we go forward. So anyways, that's video number 1 on this topic. It's a little bit dark, but thank you again. And as always, if you have any video requests, just make sure to put them in the comment section. Thanks.